How does a nation even begin to heal after its own government has torn it apart? Well, back in 1985, Argentina gave the world a powerful and honestly unprecedented answer. After years of a brutal military dictatorship, this new democracy did something unthinkable. It put its own former leaders on trial in a civilian court. This is the story of the trial of the Juntas, a landmark case that would literally change the course of international law. So let's dive into how Argentina pulled off this incredible journey toward justice.
First things first, to really get the weight of this trial, you have to understand the sheer scale of the horror. Between 1976 and 1983, a military regime, they called themselves the Process of National Reorganization, waged a dirty war against its own citizens. And the estimated human cost? 30,000 people. Just vanished, gone without a trace.
And this wasn't random chaos. Oh no, this was a cold, calculated system. The junta's methods were terrifyingly efficient. We're talking forced disappearances, hundreds of secret torture centers, and maybe the most horrifying part, the systematic theft of babies born to mothers in captivity. An estimated 400 children were stolen and given to families loyal to the regime. This was state-sponsored terror, plain and simple. So, what could possibly break a grip that tight? Well, it was a military gamble that backfired, big time. In 1982, the junta invaded the Falkland Islands, or as they're known in Argentina, the Malvinas. Their quick and humiliating defeat just shattered the military's mystique, its power. And suddenly, the door was open for the country's first democratic elections in a decade. And this is where the story takes a really remarkable turn. The newly elected president, Raúl Alfonsín, could have easily just chosen stability over justice. Let bygones be bygones. But instead, and get this, just 3 days after taking office, he made the historic decision to prosecute the commanders of the first 3 military juntas. Absolutely unheard of. And the speed at which they moved was just astonishing. Alfonsín gets elected in October. By December, the legal decrees for the trial are signed, and a special commission is created to gather evidence. Less than a year later, that commission hands over a report that would shock the world. By April of 1985, the trial itself was actually underway. That's lightning fast. That commission, CONADEP, was really the engine behind this whole thing. In just 9 months, think about that, 9 months, its members went all over the country collecting thousands of heartbreaking testimonies from survivors and families. Their final report had a simple, powerful title, Nunca Más, Never Again. And that report became the prosecution's roadmap to justice. But look, this trial wasn't just about documents and legal arguments, not at all. Its real power, its historic impact, came from the human voices that had been silenced for so long. For the very first time, the entire nation was about to hear directly from the survivors. For 17 weeks, that courtroom became a national classroom, a national confessional. And here's what made it so revolutionary. The trial was oral and public. See, for the first time, Argentine society could actually witness the process of justice, raw, unfiltered. It was the complete opposite of the secret, shadowy proceedings of the dictatorship. The very first survivor to take the stand was a woman named Adriana Calvo, and her story just sent a shockwave through the country. She described being kidnapped when she was 6 months pregnant and giving birth blindfolded and handcuffed in the back of a police car. Her powerful vow to fight for justice really set the moral tone for everything that was to come. Then there was Victor Bastera. His testimony was just a story of incredible, unbelievable courage. He was a graphic artist, and his captors forced him to forge documents for them in this notorious detention center. So what did he do? He used his position to secretly photograph the military officers. For every 4 photos they demanded, he made a 5th for himself, smuggling them out, piece by piece, to create an undeniable photographic archive of his tortures. So after months of this harrowing testimony, the trial reached its climax. It all fell to one man, Chief Prosecutor Julio Strassera, to somehow summarize this abyss of evidence and deliver a closing argument that would truly define an era. Now, the crucial point in Strassera's argument was this devastatingly simple statement. See, the military had tried to justify everything as part of a war against subversion. Strassera just swept that argument right off the table. He brilliantly reframed their actions not as political or strategic, but as what they really were, a profound moral perversion. And then, on December 9th, 1985, the verdict came down. The top commanders of the first junta, Jorge Videla and Emilio Massera, they got life sentences. Others received major prison terms. For the very first time, the architects of state terror were actually held accountable in a court of law. But the defining moment, the one everyone remembers, was Strassera's closing line. He said he didn't want to be original. He wanted to use a phrase that, he said, no longer belonged to him, but belonged to all the Argentine people. He looked directly at the judges and said, "Señores jueces, nunca más." Your honors, never again. But, history is never that simple. This historic victory was not the end of the story. The fight for justice was about to face some huge challenges. Military pressure, even uprisings, would soon force the government to retreat. And that led to a pretty dark period of impunity. What happened next was this dramatic tug of war. Under intense pressure, new laws were passed, the full stop and due obedience laws, which, along with some presidential pardons, basically shielded hundreds of perpetrators from ever facing a courtroom. It was a devastating setback. But the human rights movement just refused to give up. They fought tirelessly for decades, and their incredible resilience paid off. In 2005, those impunity laws were finally declared unconstitutional. Justice was reclaimed, trials reopened, and today more than 1,100 people have been convicted. And the impact of this trial went way beyond Argentina's borders. It set this incredibly powerful global precedent. Think about it. For the first time, a country, without being defeated in a war, chose to use its own civilian courts to judge its former dictators. This bold move helped inspire what's been called a cascade of justice, influencing similar efforts all around the world. This quote from Strassera's closing argument really captures the whole philosophy of the trial. He argued that you can't build a real, lasting peace on the silence of forgetting. It has to be built on the tough work of memory and the steady hand of justice. And that philosophy became state policy. Today, Argentina's whole approach is guided by 3 pillars: memory, turning former torture centers into sites of remembrance; truth, continuing the judicial process to uncover exactly what happened; and justice, making sure that these kinds of crimes against humanity never, ever go unpunished. So, the legacy of the trial of the Juntas leaves us with this huge, fundamental question. Argentina made a choice. It chose to confront its darkest chapter head-on, betting that a truly stable democracy could only be built on a foundation of memory, truth, and justice. And that's a lesson that remains just as powerful today as it was all the way back in 1985.
¡Ey! Este es el final del video. No olviden darle me gusta, suscribirse, compartir. La investigación es totalmente mía y gracias por quedarse viendo hasta el final de este video.